Known as the Rock, Capoleus was once a great pirate city, ruled by its glorified lord, Cervantes Capolian, some 500 years ago. Known for his ruthless tactics and fearless men, he struck fear into the hearts of any sky or sea sailor, and was well known as the pirate king of his age. Due to its geographical location, the city stayed hidden for more than 100 years, and has been a haven for any law-breaking outcast, providing they swore an oath to the Lord of the Rock and gave him a piece of all the plunder. Cervantes killed his father and seized the command at a very early age, and terrorized the skies for more than 40 years. 1 year after the Pirate King met his queen Enora, a son was born under the name of Renard Enor Capolian, and was recognized by everyone as the rightful prince and heir of the Rock. As any pirate prince, he was branded with the royal sigil. In fear that one day his son would kill him to seize the throne, Cervantes ordered his son to be killed so history had no chance of repeating itself. But before this plan could be exceeded, Queen Enora escaped with her son to the kingdom of Passaron, far away from her husband and his killing horde. She got herself a job as a maid in the house of a general, and would raise the boy on her own. Growing up, Renard spent his time reading books about the great tactics of war, and doing work in the making of the cannons, and Enora even convinced the general to allow Renard to go to military school with his own son. At the age of 25, Renard fell in love with the general's younger daughter, Apolline. She was the most beautiful girl his eyes had ever seen. She equally felt strong love for the young rebel. He cared very much for her and worried a lot, for she was weak of health and needed much care. When the general discovered this forbidden love, he forced Renard to leave the lands, and quickly got his way through the connections at court, banning the young rebel from the country. On that faithful day, Renard was shot an outcast, leaving his mother killed during the struggle, and him blinded in one eye. Swearing he would one day be reunited with his love, Renard made his way back home to the Rock, travelling as a beggar, for his people were now his only hope. And when he arrived, he was welcomed with open arms, for the Rock had been ill-treated by his still ruling father Cervantes. Now aged and a drunk, he was last seen sober 5 years ago, and had his way with the wives and daughters of his most loyal men. Before so long, a coup took place under command of Renard, and as he feared, King Cervantes was killed in his sleep by his own king, who took control of the Rock 6 months after his arrival. For the next 2 years, Renard spent his time drilling his following of ruthless and fearless pirates, for he had the military tactics and education of a commander, and now he had a bloodthirsty army behind him. And once his men were ready, he pointed his attention towards the forging of cannons, for the riches of the Rock were great, and so Renard managed to craft cannons that were better and quicker than any cannon on the known world. During this time, his mind was always with his love for Apolline, and the Herculean task that lay before him. For skyships in this day and age were not able to travel a distance towards Passaron, and all kingdoms in between were at peace and allied with one another, and all had an unending hatred for pirates and the line of Capolians. Nonetheless, Renard, with his sublime skills in tactics and his silver tongue, started his attack against the 6 kingdoms with Grava under the banner of a winged fox, plundering all who were against him and rewarding all who joined him. He killed the noble and replaced them with the loyal poor, who were more than grateful. And on one faithful day, at the age of 35, Renard Enor Capolian was victorious in his conquest of the Allied 6. After 7 years of struggle and war, Passaron fell, and Apolline, still faithful to her love, was reunited with Renard once more. Renard was crowned king of all and named his kingdom after his beloved, Apollonia. The rock was later named Capoleus on request of his commanders as a token of respect. As king and queen, Apollonia wanted a son, an heir to the throne, for all would fall into chaos if no heir was named to this new kingdom. But Renard did not approve to her dreams of motherhood. She was ill of health, and he feared the curse that laid upon his family, that he and his forefathers would be killed by his own kin. But his love for her was too strong, and he wanted to give her every gift within his powers. And before long Apollonia was with child, and their life seemed perfect. But their joy was soon drowned, for Apollonia died during childbirth, leaving Renard behind, devastated, but with two beautiful babies, a boy named Orpheus and a girl named Cassidy. Renard loved his children, but the grief of losing his beloved Apollonia was too much to bear. He returned to his rock and tried to forget his sorrow by drinking and taking young women to bed. Destroyed by grief and shamed by his bastards, he died 2 years after the death of his beloved Apollonia, crashing his ship filled with treasure into the ocean by his own hand, not far off the coast of Passaron, where he laid his wife to rest. To this day, most of the inhabitants born on Capoleus are long descendants of King Renard's bastards and have his blood in their veins, and mothers still name their children to the great Renard by adding the fox to their names. In his will, Renard appointed the task of Lord Regent and Protector of the realm to his loyal first mate Lord Gibbons, who executed his task with absolute loyalty towards his beloved king and raised his children as if they were his own, readying them for the throne. Once 18, Orpheus and Cassidy divided the kingdom into 2 sections, both under the banner of Apollonia. Orpheus commanded the capital, Neapolis, and the closest 4 strongholds, Capoleus, Grava, Skyron, and Opus, while Cassidy commanded Farah and Passaron. They ruled for 15 years under these agreements, each building up their own families. Although Cassidy requested independence for her part of the kingdoms, so each could rule their own lands with their own kings to avoid family wars in the future. Their reign was peaceful until the invasion of Kythera. They attacked with skyships at the city of Skyron, but their advance was soon stopped by the king's army led by the twins. The army of Kythera was crushed, but Cassidy died, protecting her brother by shielding him from a poisoned arrow. Her final words were of independence for her people. 2 months later, the war was won, and Cassidy's section was named the Independent Kingdom of Cassidonia, ruled by her oldest son. Cassidonia is still Apollonia's strongest ally to this day. Apollonia still flies under the sigil of the winged fox. More wars and battles took place in the countries, but the borders remain the same.